Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I stand before you today with an announcement that carries the weight of hope and expectation. God has spoken, and His word is undeniable, unwavering, and unshakable. Your reward is coming tonight. Yes, tonight, on March 23, 2025, you are entering into a new season. A season where your waiting, your prayers, your perseverance, and your faith are about to be rewarded. But before we get caught up in the excitement of this declaration, there is a truth that I want you to embrace. This truth is not just for the here and now, but for every season of life you go through. God's timing is perfect. You see, the waiting season is often misunderstood. Many of us feel frustrated, confused, or even forgotten during times of waiting. We ask, "When, Lord? When will my breakthrough come? When will the doors open? When will I see the manifestation of my prayer?" It's easy to become disheartened in these moments. We start to feel as if our waiting is a sign that God has forgotten about us, or worse, that He doesn't care. But this is a lie from the enemy. God's timing is never late, and it is never early. It is always perfect. While we are waiting for breakthroughs, answers, or rewards, God is at work in ways we may not even be able to comprehend. His plans for us are far greater than our own, and His understanding of what we need when we need it is beyond what we could imagine. We live in a world that encourages instant gratification. We want things now. We want answers now. We want rewards now. But God's ways are not like our ways, and His thoughts are not like our thoughts. The psalmist reminds us that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. That means every moment of your life, every second, is in His hands. Every event that occurs, whether it's a delay or a breakthrough, is part of His divine plan. God sees what you don't see. He knows what you don't know. And most importantly, He knows exactly when to deliver your reward. When we talk about rewards, it's important to understand that it's not just about receiving something material, something external. The rewards of God are not just about what we get, but about what He's doing inside of us. Think about it. If you receive a reward too soon, you might not be ready to handle it. If you get the breakthrough before you're fully prepared, you may not have the wisdom to manage it, the maturity to sustain it, or the character to protect it. God is shaping you, molding you, preparing you to receive the full measure of what He has promised. And that preparation takes time. Some of you may be wondering, why the delay, God? Why the wait? I want you to understand that God isn't punishing you. He isn't ignoring your cries. Instead, He is crafting a masterpiece. Every delay is a divine opportunity for growth, refinement, and transformation. The Bible teaches us that those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. There is power in the waiting season, power that prepares you to soar to new heights. Without the waiting, without the process, you wouldn't be equipped to carry the reward with grace and purpose. It's important to remember that your breakthrough is not random. It's not based on chance or luck. It is strategically designed by God Himself. While we may be impatient, God is never in a hurry. He operates outside of time. To Him, your past, your present, and your future are all part of His eternal plan. There is no too late with God. When the time is right, the reward will come, and it will be everything you need and more. Now, let's talk about expectation. We must live with an attitude of anticipation, believing that God is at work even when we can't see it. The truth is, when we live in expectation, we begin to align ourselves with what God is about to do. Expectation is the soil in which your reward grows. Without it, without the belief that God is about to do something incredible, we can miss the moment. We have to trust in the process. Trust that the reward is already on the way, even if it hasn't manifested yet. When God says your reward is coming tonight, it's not just a promise of what's to come, it's a declaration that something is shifting in the spiritual realm. Your faith, your patience, your perseverance have all been noticed. And now is the time for divine action. But even as your reward approaches, remember it is not just about the external blessing. The true reward is the transformation that has happened inside of you. It's the strength you've gained. It's the wisdom you've acquired. It's the trust you've developed in God's plan, even when you couldn't see it. As we stand on the brink of this new season, remember this: God's timing is never wrong. He has orchestrated every detail of your life with intention, and the reward He has for you is designed to fulfill His purpose for your life. The waiting season was not a waste, it was preparation, and now the reward is ready to be revealed. Your reward is coming tonight. Be ready to receive it. In life, there are moments when the road ahead seems unclear, when the promises God has made to us appear to be far off or out of reach. We experience seasons where we've prayed, we've believed, and we've waited, and yet the breakthrough has not come. In these moments, it's easy to grow discouraged, to wonder if our faith is in vain, or to question whether God has truly heard our cries. But I want to encourage you today. Faith in the waiting season is not just a test. It is a divine opportunity for growth, preparation, and deeper trust in God's plan. It is during the waiting seasons that God is often doing the most profound work in our lives. You see, waiting is not a passive state of inactivity. It is an active process of faith. God does not ask us to wait because He wants us to suffer. He asks us to wait because He wants us to become who He created us to be. In the waiting, God is refining our character, strengthening our perseverance, and deepening our trust in His ability to fulfill every promise He has made. The waiting season is often the time when our faith is tested most severely. When you don't see any visible results or hear the answers you've been praying for, your faith is challenged. Will you still believe when things seem uncertain? Will you still trust when the circumstances don't match your expectations? It is in these moments of uncertainty, when things don't look like they are aligning the way we hoped, that God is working in us to produce a faith that is unshakable. The waiting season is God's way of preparing us for the reward He has in store. Think of it like this. When you're waiting for something important, something valuable, don't you want to make sure you're ready for it? If you were about to receive a great inheritance, would you not want to make sure that you're prepared to handle it responsibly? In the same way, God is preparing us to receive His blessings in ways that we may not fully understand at the time. He is building in us the character and strength needed to manage the reward with wisdom and grace. The Bible is filled with stories of individuals who faced long periods of waiting. Abraham waited for the promise of a son. Joseph waited in prison for years after his dreams were given to him. The Israelites waited for generations in Egypt before they were delivered. And yet, in each case, God used the waiting season as a vital part of His plan for them. God does not waste time. He uses every moment, every delay, every challenge, and every uncertainty to mold us into the people we need to become. Waiting builds in us the very qualities that will enable us to sustain and maximize the reward when it comes. In the waiting, God refines our patience. Patience is not just the ability to wait, but the ability to wait with a good attitude. When we are patient, we allow God to work in us, to shape our hearts and minds, to transform us into the people He has called us to be. And this patience is not just about enduring the wait, but trusting that God is working even when we can't see it. God is always working on your behalf, even in the unseen moments. And let's talk about trust for a moment. Trusting God in the waiting season can be one of the hardest things to do, especially when the clock seems to tick endlessly and the breakthrough still feels so distant. But trust is at the heart of faith. Faith is trusting in God's character when you can't trace His hand. It's about holding on to the belief that His plan for your life is good, even when things aren't going the way you anticipated. Trusting God in the waiting is not about understanding every detail of what's happening, but about believing that He is faithful to His promises. I want you to hear this. God sees your waiting. He sees every tear you've shed. He hears every prayer, every cry, every moment of frustration. But He is also using this time to build something in you that will outlast the waiting season. Your faith will not only carry you through this season, but it will propel you into the next one. You will not just be a recipient of the reward, you will be a strong, mature, and wise vessel, capable of handling the blessings that God is bringing into your life. Do not grow weary in the waiting. Remain faithful, even when it seems like the answer is delayed. Remain faithful when the promise seems far off. Remain faithful when the path ahead seems unclear. For it is in these moments of waiting that God is preparing you for something greater than you can even imagine. The reward is coming, and your faith in the waiting will be the key that unlocks it. So today, I encourage you to continue holding on to your faith. Continue trusting, continue believing, continue praying, and continue waiting. Because God is at work in your life. And when the reward finally comes, you will see that the waiting was never wasted. It was all part of His perfect plan to bring you into your destiny. As we stand on the precipice of this new season, I want you to understand one of the most powerful truths that can anchor your soul. God's promises are unshakable. In a world where promises can be broken and words can be empty, there is one thing you can always count on: God's word. When God speaks, it is not just a statement, it is a covenant, a guarantee, and an unbreakable bond. His promises are not contingent upon our circumstances, our understanding, or even our ability to see what lies ahead. His promises are rooted in His character and His faithfulness. We live in a world where trust is often broken. People make promises that they can't keep, or they change their minds when things get tough. But God is not a man that He should lie, nor the Son of Man that He should repent. When God says something, it is as good as done. The nature of God's promises is that they are steadfast, immovable, and eternal. His promises do not shift with the winds of time or change with the unpredictability of life's circumstances. They are solid, anchored in the very nature of who He is. When God speaks, He does not speak flippantly. Every word He utters carries weight. His promises are not just for today, they are for all generations. They are eternal. His word is the foundation upon which the universe itself is built. And that same word is what sustains our lives and our faith. So when God promises something, whether it's a reward, a breakthrough, healing, provision, or His everlasting presence, you can trust that He will fulfill it. Now here's the part where we must take a step back and remind ourselves: God's promises are not dependent on our ability to see the future. Often we get caught up in trying to figure out how, when, and where God will fulfill His promises. We want to see the plan laid out before us. We want a clear roadmap for the journey. But God doesn't need our vision to accomplish His purposes. He is not bound by our limitations. God sees the end from the beginning. He has already made a way, even when we can't see it yet. Think about the story of Abraham. God promised him that he would be the father of many nations, but Abraham was childless and beyond the age of bearing children. His circumstances didn't line up with the promise. In fact, it looked impossible. But that didn't matter to God. The promise was not contingent on what Abraham could see in the natural. It was based on God's ability to do the impossible. And as we know, God fulfilled that promise in His perfect time, not because of Abraham's understanding, but because of His own faithfulness. God's promises are not conditioned on our ability to understand or predict the future. His promises are secure because He holds the future in His hands. We may not always understand the how or the when, but we can trust that God knows exactly what He's doing. The delay, the uncertainty, the waiting, it all serves a purpose. But one thing is for sure: His promise is unwavering. This is where our faith intersects with His promises. We don't need to see the future to trust Him. We need to trust that He is the God who fulfills His word, regardless of the obstacles, delays, or difficulties we might encounter. The reward isn't coming because of our ability to predict it or control the timing. It's coming because God has said it will. In the book of Numbers, God says, "God is not a man that He should lie, nor a son of man that He should change His mind. Does He speak and then not act? Does He promise and not fulfill?" This question serves as a reminder that God is faithful to His word, always. His promises are not contingent on us seeing or understanding the full picture. He operates in a dimension of faithfulness that far surpasses human understanding. It is not our responsibility to figure out how God will bring about the promise. It is our responsibility to trust that He will. And here's the thing: the more we trust in His unshakable promises, the more our faith grows. When we believe that God's promises are sure, it gives us peace in the waiting, strength in the trials, and hope in the uncertainties. His promises do not fail. They do not shift with time. They do not depend on how we feel in the moment. His promises are as certain as His character. They are backed by His eternal faithfulness. So when God says your reward is coming, do not doubt it. Your reward is not based on what you can see or predict. It is based on God's unchanging word. His promise to you is secure, and His faithfulness will not fail. The reward is coming, and it is coming because God said it would. Take heart today, my brothers and sisters. The promises of God are yes and amen. They are unshakable, unchangeable, and sure. No matter what it looks like in the natural, no matter how much time passes, God will fulfill His promise to you. And in the waiting, in the uncertainty, in the moments when we can't see how it will all come together, remember that it is His ability to keep His word, not ours to understand it, that will bring His promises to pass. There is a power in expectation that is often overlooked, but is absolutely crucial when it comes to receiving the rewards and blessings that God has promised. Expectation is the fuel that drives us forward, the force that keeps our faith alive, and the key that unlocks the doors to God's blessings. The moment we stop expecting something good to happen, we begin to lose sight of God's promises and His ability to bring them to pass in our lives. But when we live with a heart full of expectation, we open ourselves to the miraculous, to the supernatural, and to the fulfillment of God's promises, right here, right now. Too often we are taught to wait for the future for something good to happen. We place our hopes and dreams in distant days, telling ourselves that one day things will change, someday we will receive the reward. But I want to challenge you today. You don't have to wait for the distant future for God's promises to come to pass. They can begin in the here and now. Expectation is not just about hoping for something in the future. It's about believing that what God has promised is already in motion, and that we can begin to experience the manifestation of His goodness today. You see, when we live in expectation, we are operating in faith. Expectation is the tangible expression of faith. It says, I believe that something good is coming, and I believe it's coming soon. Expectation is not passive, it's active. It's not waiting around idly, hoping for a breakthrough. It's anticipating that God is already at work, even when we can't see it. Expectation keeps our hearts and minds open to the incredible possibilities God is bringing into our lives. It's a posture of readiness, a belief that the best is yet to come, and it could come at any moment. Think about it. If you expect nothing, you'll receive nothing. But if you expect something, you begin to position yourself to receive it. Expectation shapes our actions, our attitude, and our perspective. When we expect God to move, we begin to align our lives with His plan. We start to prepare ourselves for the blessings, the breakthroughs, the rewards that are coming. This doesn't mean we know exactly how it will happen, but we trust that it will happen because we serve a faithful God who keeps His promises. The Bible is full of people who lived in expectation and saw incredible rewards. Take the woman with the issue of blood, for example. She had been suffering for years, and the medical community had given up on her. But one day she heard that Jesus was passing by, and her expectation sparked action. She said to herself, if I just touch His garment, I will be healed. She didn't wait for the perfect moment or for Jesus to call her out. Her expectation led her to act in faith, and as a result, she received her healing. Expectation is not just about what we hope will happen in the future. It's about what we believe is already happening in the present. When we live with expectation, we are tapping into the power of the here and now. It's the belief that God is not far off in some distant future, but that He is moving in our lives right now. His blessings are not waiting for us at some unknown future date. They are already being released in our lives, and we need to be ready to receive them. This is the attitude that we must adopt when we hear God say that our reward is coming. We cannot approach this season with the mindset that the reward is something that will happen later or someday. God is saying that your reward is coming tonight. Expect it now. Anticipate it now. Prepare your heart, your mind, and your spirit to receive what God is about to do. Expectation positions you for breakthrough. When you expect something to happen, you begin to make room for it. You begin to prepare for it. Your thoughts shift, your words shift, and your actions begin to align with what you believe is on the way. This is what it means to walk by faith. It's not just believing that something is going to happen one day, but knowing that God's promises are already unfolding and that you can step into them today. Expecting God's reward doesn't mean we know exactly how or when it will come. It means trusting in His perfect timing and knowing that the reward is already on the way. It means living with the confidence that God is not slow in keeping His promises and that He is orchestrating everything in your life for your good and His glory. It's about holding on to the truth that He is faithful to do what He said He would do. Expect something good. Expect a breakthrough. Expect healing. Expect restoration. Expect your reward. Your faith, your expectation is the bridge that connects you to what God is doing in your life right now. Don't wait for the perfect conditions. Don't wait until everything is aligned in the natural. Begin to live with the expectation that something good is about to happen. Right here, right now. And when you do, you will see God move in ways that will exceed your wildest imagination. Remember, God rewards those who diligently seek Him. And when you seek Him with expectation, you position yourself to receive all that He has promised. Your reward is coming, and it's coming because you have believed in the power of expectation, trusting that God is at work, even now. Keep your heart open, keep your faith strong, and watch how God will fulfill His promises in your life today. In life, when we think about receiving rewards, we often focus on the final result, the breakthrough, the blessing, the manifestation of God's promises. However, we must understand that before God releases His rewards into our lives, He takes us through a process of preparation. This preparation isn't just about waiting for the blessing to arrive. It is about molding us into the individuals capable of handling that blessing with wisdom, humility, and grace. The process is just as important as the reward itself because it shapes us into the people God has called us to be. Many of us want the rewards without realizing that the blessing is often too great for us to receive without the proper preparation. Imagine if God gave you the fullness of His blessing before you were ready for it, without the right character, the wisdom to manage it, or the emotional maturity to sustain it. That very blessing could become a burden. So God, in His wisdom, allows us to go through a process that may involve trials, challenges, growth, and sometimes even pain. But it is all part of His perfect plan to equip us to handle what He is preparing to release into our lives. Think about gold. Before it becomes a beautiful, shiny, valuable piece of jewelry, it must go through a refining process. It must be heated to extreme temperatures to burn away the impurities, leaving behind only the pure. In the same way, God uses the trials and experiences in our lives to refine us, to purify our hearts, and to strengthen our character. The process of preparation is about God removing the things in us that would prevent us from fully appreciating and stewarding the blessings He has for us. Without this purification process, we might not have the foundation to handle the fullness of His rewards. The process of preparation is also about building our faith and endurance. When we go through difficult seasons, when we feel as though the breakthrough is delayed or we experience setbacks, we have a choice to either give up or to trust that God is using these moments to strengthen us. The Bible tells us in James 1:2-4 that we should consider it pure joy whenever we face trials, because the testing of our faith produces perseverance, and perseverance in turn leads to maturity. God is preparing us through every challenge, refining our faith and developing our ability to endure. But preparation doesn't always come in the form of trials and hardships. God also uses the quiet, seemingly mundane moments of life to prepare us for the reward. It's in the small, everyday actions, the moments of obedience, the times we choose to walk in integrity, the decisions to serve others humbly, and the hours we spend in prayer and worship, that God is building us up for the future He has for us. These moments may seem insignificant at the time, but they are laying the foundation for something greater. Character is built in the everyday choices we make, and God is molding us in every situation, preparing us for the reward He has set aside for us. One of the key aspects of preparation is the growth of wisdom. As we go through life's process, we gain knowledge and understanding, but it's not just about accumulating facts. It's about learning to apply that knowledge in a way that reflects God's heart. Wisdom is the ability to make godly decisions, to understand the deeper meaning behind our experiences, and to navigate life's complexities with discernment. God is preparing us for the rewards by teaching us how to think, how to act, and how to respond with wisdom. Without wisdom, we may squander the blessings God gives us or use them in ways that aren't aligned with His will. But through the process, God is teaching us how to handle His rewards with the right heart and the right motives. Additionally, the process of preparation is essential for cultivating humility and grace. When we are in the midst of preparing for something great, we must learn that it is not by our own strength, efforts, or abilities that the reward comes, It is by God's grace alone. The Bible tells us that God resists the proud but gives grace to the humble. As we go through the preparation process, we learn to humble ourselves before God, acknowledging that every good thing comes from Him. Humility is vital because when we receive the reward, we must recognize that it is not our own doing, but the result of God's favor and mercy. The process helps us keep our hearts in check, preventing us from becoming arrogant or prideful when the blessing finally comes. Grace also plays a critical role in the process. As we prepare for the reward, we must learn to extend grace to others, understanding that God's timing and His ways are perfect, even when they don't align with our own plans. Grace in the waiting season, grace in the challenges, and grace toward others who are also in their own process of preparation all contribute to the development of our character. When the reward finally arrives, we will be able to handle it with a spirit of grace, sharing it with others in a way that honors God. Finally, the process of preparation is never wasted. Every moment, every lesson, every challenge, and every season of waiting is part of God's plan to equip you for the reward He has promised. God never wastes a moment of your life. Every part of the process is necessary for the transformation He is working in you. The reward you are waiting for will not only be a blessing, but will be something you are prepared to steward with responsibility, wisdom, and grace. So while the reward may seem far off, remember that God is using this time to prepare you. He is teaching you, shaping you, refining you, and building you up to handle the blessing that is coming. Trust that the process is as important as the reward, and allow it to bring about the growth you need to receive the fullness of God's promises, with humility, wisdom, and grace. When the time is right, you will be ready not just to receive the reward, but to handle it in a way that brings honor to God and fulfills His purpose for your life. When the reward finally comes, it is essential to receive it with the right heart, with humility and deep gratitude. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of the blessing itself and forget the purpose behind it. Yes, the reward is a tangible sign of God's goodness, faithfulness, and love, but it is also an opportunity to acknowledge that everything we have comes from Him. The reward is not just a personal blessing. It is a gift meant to be stewarded wisely and used to advance God's kingdom. First and foremost, we must remember that the reward is not the end of the journey. It is part of God's greater purpose for our lives. The reward is not a reflection of our own efforts or achievements. It is a reflection of God's grace and His faithfulness to fulfill His promises. When we receive the reward, it is a reminder that all that we have, all that we are, and all that we have accomplished is by God's hand. As James 1:17 reminds us, every good and perfect gift is from above. The moment we begin to think that the reward is something we've earned or deserve based on our own abilities, we risk losing sight of the true source of the blessing, God Himself. When we receive God's rewards, humility is key. We must understand that the blessings are not just for us to enjoy in isolation. They are part of the greater plan that God has for His kingdom. This is where gratitude comes in. Gratitude is the outward expression of a heart that recognizes the goodness of God, not just in what He has done for us, but in what He wants to do through us. We must be humble enough to acknowledge that it is God's grace alone that has brought us to this place, and it is His will that will guide how we use the rewards we've been given. As we receive the reward with gratitude, we must also remember that the reward is not meant to be hoarded, but shared. One of the greatest ways we show our gratitude is by giving back, by using the blessings God has given us to bless others. The Apostle Paul writes in 2 Corinthians 9:11 that we are enriched in every way so that we can be generous on every occasion. God blesses us not just for our own benefit, but for the benefit of those around us. Our reward is an opportunity to reflect God's heart of generosity and to share His blessings with others, furthering His kingdom here on earth. Imagine this. When God rewards you, He is not just rewarding you for your own sake. He is entrusting you with the resources, opportunities, and gifts to make a difference in the lives of others. Whether it's financial blessings, new opportunities, healing, or favor, these rewards are meant to be used to serve others, to help those in need, and to spread the love and message of Jesus Christ. Your reward is an invitation to partner with God in advancing His kingdom. The more we are willing to give back to others, the more we demonstrate that our hearts are aligned with God's purposes, and not just our own desires. Receiving the reward with gratitude also requires a heart of worship. When we acknowledge that every good thing we receive is a gift from God, we cannot help but respond with worship. True gratitude leads to praise. We don't just say thank you with our words, we live a life of thanksgiving in our actions, in our hearts, and in our worship. Every moment we are blessed is an opportunity to give glory to God, to thank Him for His goodness, and to honor Him for His faithfulness. Our worship becomes an expression of our gratitude, a declaration that we recognize that God is the source of all blessings. Gratitude also brings us to a place of stewardship. When we receive a reward from God, we are called to manage it wisely. It is not enough to simply receive the blessing and enjoy it for ourselves. God expects us to steward the rewards He gives us with wisdom and responsibility. That may mean using the reward to invest in others, to build relationships, to further His work, or to support those who are struggling. Every blessing is a tool that God has placed in our hands to fulfill His purposes. The more we are grateful, the more we will be faithful stewards of the reward God has entrusted to us. Finally, as we receive the reward with gratitude, we must remember that this is just the beginning. The reward is not an end point, but a stepping stone to greater things. As we are faithful with the rewards God gives us, He will entrust us with even greater things. Jesus tells us in Luke 16:10, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." The more we handle the reward with humility, gratitude, and generosity, the more we open ourselves up to even greater blessings and opportunities to serve. So as you receive God's reward, remember to do so with a heart of humility and gratitude. Recognize that the reward is not just for your benefit, but an opportunity to give back, to share, and to advance His kingdom. Use your reward to bless others, to bring glory to God, and to fulfill the purposes He has for your life. In doing so, you will not only experience the fullness of God's goodness, but also be a vessel through which His blessings can flow to those around you. And when you do, you will find that the more you give, the more God continues to pour out His grace upon your life, and His kingdom will be advanced in ways you could never imagine. As we stand on the threshold of God's promise, let us remember that this journey we are on is not just about receiving a reward. It is about becoming the people God has destined us to be. Your reward is coming, but the process that prepares you for it is just as significant as the reward itself. God, in His infinite wisdom, is shaping you, refining you, and making you ready for the blessing He is about to release in your life. In the waiting, understand that God's timing is perfect, and He is preparing you for something far greater than you can imagine. The season of waiting is not a season of delay, but a season of divine preparation. Your faith will be tested, but it will also be strengthened. As you remain faithful in the waiting, God is not only developing your character, but He is positioning you for a reward that will reflect His glory and His goodness. As the reward approaches, know this: expectation is the bridge between where you are and where God is taking you. Live with the assurance that something good is about to happen, not in the distant future, but in the here and now. Expect His goodness to unfold in your life and prepare your heart to receive it with gratitude and humility. The reward you are about to receive is not just for you to enjoy in isolation. It is an opportunity to give back, to bless others, and to advance the kingdom of God. The reward is a reflection of His goodness, but it is also a tool for His work. As you receive the blessing, remember it is a trust from God, one that must be stewarded with wisdom, grace, and a heart of generosity. Be faithful with what God gives you and watch how He multiplies it for His glory. In every step, remember that God is faithful to fulfill His promises. He will not fail you, He will not leave you, and He will not disappoint you. As you stand in faith and gratitude, ready to receive your reward, know that the best is yet to come. The reward is not just a sign of His goodness, it is the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where you will walk in the fullness of His purpose for your life. So as you move forward, carry with you this truth. Your reward is coming, and it is coming with divine purpose, at the right time, in the right way, for His glory. Trust Him, expect Him, prepare for Him, and when the reward comes, receive it with a heart of humility, gratitude, and a commitment to use it to bless others and advance His kingdom. Your reward is not the end, but the beginning of greater things in God. Embrace it, for this is your time.